Daniel Harris hated Sunday evenings. Not because of the silence. Not because of the fading weekend. But because Monday always reminded him of a life he never chose. At exactly 6 a.m., Daniel's alarm rang. Every day, same sound, same routine. He opened his eyes slowly and stared at the cracked ceiling of his small apartment. Another day, another paycheck, another piece of his soul gone. Daniel was 29 years old. He worked at a customer support center in Chicago. 10 hours a day, endless calls, angry voices, scripts he had memorized so well that sometimes he spoke in his sleep. "Thank you for calling. How may I help you today?" That sentence had become his identity. He rolled out of bed, made instant coffee, and wore the same gray shirt he had worn twice
Yes, I
already this
understand.
week.
Let me check that for you.
While tying his shoes,
Okay, I've
he looked
updated
at
your account.
himself
Is there
in the
anything
mirror.
else?
Dark circles under his eyes. Slouched shoulders. A face that no longer dreamed. Once, Daniel wanted to be a writer. He used to fill notebooks with stories, characters, ideas. But life had other plans. Bills arrived. His father got sick. College loans followed. Dreams slowly turned into survival. And survival became habit. The office that felt like a cage. The call center was always loud. Phones ringing. Keyboards clicking. Supervisors walking up and down with clipboards. Daniel sat in cubicle B17. Same seat for 4 years. His friend Marcus leaned over. "Bro, you look tired." Daniel forced a smile. "Just didn't sleep much." Marcus laughed softly. "Join the club." At 10:23 a.m., a customer screamed at Daniel for 10 minutes because of a billing error he didn't create. Daniel apologized. At 12:45 p.m., his supervisor told him his performance numbers were slipping. Daniel nodded. At 3:10 p.m., he stared at the screen while his mind traveled somewhere else. Somewhere quiet, somewhere free. He imagined himself sitting in a cafe with a laptop, writing stories. He imagined sunlight. He imagined peace. Then his headset beeped. Another call. Reality returned. The moment everything cracked. That evening, Daniel stood on the subway platform. Cold wind cut through his jacket. He watched people rush past him. Everyone looked busy, important, alive. A homeless man sat near the stairs holding a cardboard sign. "Lost my job, lost my family, still breathing." Daniel stared at those words. Still breathing. Something moved inside his chest. He thought, is this it? Is this how my life will be? Just breathing. On the train ride home, he opened his phone and scrolled through old notes. Stories he once started. Ideas never finished. He felt tears building. He quickly wiped them away. Men don't cry on public trains. But his heart was screaming. A call from his mother. That night, his phone rang. "Daniel, beta," his mother said gently. Her voice always softened him. "How are you?" "I'm fine," he lied. There was silence for a moment. Then she said, "Are you happy?" The question hit harder than any customer complaint. Daniel couldn't answer. His throat tightened. I don't know anymore." His mother spoke quietly. "You know, when your father was young, he walked away from a safe factory job." Daniel remembered. His father had started a small repair shop instead. It struggled at first, but it fed their family. And his father always came home smiling. "He was scared," his mother continued. "But he said something that I never forgot." "What?" He said, "Some doors don't open until you are brave enough to close the wrong one." Daniel closed his eyes. That night, he couldn't sleep. Those words played in his mind again and again. The journal he had forgotten. Around 2 a.m., Daniel opened a dusty drawer. Inside was his old notebook. He flipped through yellow pages. Stories, dreams, plans. On the last page, written years ago, was one sentence. "If I don't try, I will regret it forever." Daniel stared at it. His hands trembled. He picked up a pen. And for the first time in years, he started writing again. Not for money, not for approval, just for himself. His heart felt lighter, not fixed, but awake. That night, Daniel made a quiet promise. He didn't know how yet. He didn't know when, but he knew one thing. He could not stay where his soul was dying. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is not to fight harder, but to walk away. Daniel didn't quit his job the next morning. Fear doesn't disappear overnight. He still woke up at 6 a.m. Still wore his gray shirt. Still sat in cubicle B17. But something inside him had shifted. He was no longer sleeping through his life. He had started waking up to it. During lunch break, instead of scrolling social media, Daniel opened his notebook. He wrote for 15 minutes. Short sentences, random thoughts, little story ideas. Nothing perfect, but real. For the first time in years, his lunch tasted better. 2 lives, 1 body. Days passed. Daniel lived 2 lives. By day, customer support agent. By night, struggling writer. Every evening after work, he sat at his small kitchen table with his laptop. Sometimes he wrote only a paragraph. Sometimes nothing came. Sometimes frustration made him close the screen. But he always opened it again. Because quitting writing felt worse than failing at it. His eyes burned from lack of sleep. His hands shook from too much coffee. Yet his heart felt alive. The warning. One afternoon, his supervisor, Karen, called him into her office. She folded her hands. "Daniel, your numbers have dropped again." Daniel nodded. "I know." Karen leaned forward. "You've been distracted lately." Daniel hesitated. Then he said quietly, "I'm trying to figure out my life." Karen sighed. "This job needs full focus. If things don't improve, we'll have to let you go." Let you go. Those words followed him all the way back to his desk. Marcus whispered, "What happened?" Daniel forced a smile. "Just another warning." Marcus shook his head. "Man, don't lose this job. You know how hard things are outside." Daniel knew. That was exactly the problem. Family pressure. That weekend, Daniel visited his mother. She cooked his favorite food. Rice, chicken, warm bread. They ate quietly. Finally, Daniel spoke. "Ami, I'm thinking about leaving my job." Her spoon froze midair. "Leaving?" He nodded. "I want to try writing seriously." His mother looked worried. "Daniel, writing doesn't pay rent." "I know. You have responsibilities." "I know." She reached for his hand. "Dreams are beautiful, Beta. But reality is hard." Daniel swallowed. "I already live in hard reality. At least let me chase something that feels alive." His mother didn't answer. She just squeezed his hand. The breaking point. 2 weeks later, everything collapsed. Daniel was on a call with an angry customer. The man insulted him, shouted, called him useless. Daniel felt something snap. He removed his headset. His heart was racing. His hands were shaking. He stood up. Everyone stared. Karen rushed over. "Daniel, sit down." He couldn't. Tears filled his eyes. "I can't do this anymore." He walked out. No dramatic music. No applause. Just silence behind him. Outside the building, Daniel sat on the steps. Cold air hit his face. He felt terrified, and strangely free. The scariest email of his life. That night, Daniel opened his laptop. He wrote a resignation email. He stared at it for 20 minutes. Delete. Rewrite. Delete again. Finally, he typed, "I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I've decided to step away and pursue a different path." His finger hovered over send. He thought about rent, food, health insurance. Then he thought about that homeless man's sign. Still breathing. He pressed send. His hands went numb. Just like that, the safe life ended. Rock bottom. The next month was brutal. Savings disappeared fast. Some days Daniel ate only noodles. He applied for freelance writing jobs. No replies. He posted short stories online. Few likes. Doubt returned. Every night he asked himself, was this a mistake? One evening, he sat alone in his apartment, staring at unpaid bills. He buried his face in his hands. He cried. Hard, not quiet tears. Ugly ones. He almost opened job websites again. Almost. Then he remembered. He didn't walk away for comfort. He walked away for courage. A small light. One morning, an email arrived. Subject: "We loved your story." A small online magazine wanted to publish his piece. They offered $100. It wasn't much, but to Daniel, it felt like oxygen. He jumped from his chair. He called his mother. "They accepted my story." She laughed through tears. "I knew you had it in you." Daniel closed his eyes. For the first time, someone believed in his dream, including himself. That first $100 didn't change Daniel's bank balance much. But it changed something far more important. His belief. He printed the email and pinned it above his desk. Every morning, he looked at it before writing. It reminded him, someone out there cared about his words. Someone believed his voice mattered. And slowly, very slowly, life began to move. Building from nothing, Daniel created a daily routine. He woke up early, not because of an alarm. Because of purpose. He wrote for 3 hours every morning. Afternoons were for job applications and freelance pitches. Evenings were for reading and learning. Some days were productive, some days were terrible, but he showed up anyway. No supervisor was watching, no paycheck was guaranteed, only discipline, only hope. He was finally working for himself. Rejection after rejection. For every yes, there were 10 no's. Editors ignored his emails. Publishers rejected his stories. One agency told him, "You don't have enough experience." Daniel wanted to reply, "How do I get experience if no one gives me a chance?" But instead, he thanked them politely and moved on. He learned to improve his writing. He studied storytelling. He rewrote old pieces. He didn't complain. He adapted. Walking away had taught him something powerful. No one owes you your dream. You earn it. 6 months later. 6 months passed. Daniel now had small freelance clients. Blog posts, short stories, motivational articles. Income was unstable, but growing. One evening, Marcus called. "Bro, guess what? Karen got fired." Daniel smiled sadly. "Seriously?" "Yeah, company downsized." Marcus paused. "You were brave, man. I wish I had your courage." After hanging up, Daniel sat quietly. He realized something. The job he was afraid to lose had never been loyal to him. But his dream stayed. The breakthrough. One night, Daniel posted a personal story online. It was about leaving his job. About fear. About starting over. He didn't expect much. He went to sleep. When he woke up, his phone had hundreds of notifications. Thousands of people had shared his story. Messages poured in. "Thank you. I needed this. You gave me hope. I'm crying." A publishing company emailed him. They wanted him to write a full motivational book. Daniel read the email 3 times. Then he fell to his knees. He cried again, but this time, they were tears of gratitude. 1 year later, exactly 1 year after walking away from the call center, Daniel stood in front of a small audience at a local event. He was invited as a speaker. His hands trembled as he held the microphone. He took a deep breath. "I used to think courage meant staying strong in pain," he said. "But I learned something." He looked around the room. "Sometimes, courage means walking away from what is killing you quietly." People listened. Some wiped tears. Daniel continued. "I left a safe job with no backup plan. I was scared every day. I failed many times." He smiled softly. "But I also found myself." After the talk, a young man approached him. "I hate my job," the man whispered. "But I'm afraid to leave." Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. "Don't run from responsibility," he said. "But don't stay where your soul is dying." The lesson: Daniel never became a millionaire overnight. Life didn't become perfect. He still struggled sometimes. But he woke up excited. He did work that mattered. He lived with purpose. He had chosen courage over comfort. And that changed everything. Final message for you. If you are reading this and feeling stuck, if your heart is tired, if your dreams feel buried under responsibilities, remember this: walking away doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing yourself. It means respecting your future. It means believing that you deserve more than just surviving. Some doors won't open until you are brave enough to close the wrong ones. Sparkles the end.